The Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.
Hey, this is Captain Jonathan Moss, host of the Captain's Log Radio and host of the Captain's Log TV. Before we get started, we're going to have a little bit different show today. Before we get started, I just want to remind you, I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to connect with you. I'd love to do that outside of the TV show, outside of the radio show, via social media, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can find me, you can connect with me at the Captain's Log TV. At the Captain's Log TV. Click like, follow, subscribe. Let's connect. Let's talk. Would love to meet you. Let's do more there. Cool. Awesome. We've got a different show today. A little bit different, a little bit unique in the sense that we're not talking fishing. This is a fishing radio show, yes, but today we're going to pump the brakes just a little bit. And instead, we're going to talk about Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. These are my people. This is the state of Florida. This is the fishing community. These are Floridians. These are people who I have just such deep care and respect for. And they're hurting. And let's not forget those affected in the Carolinas, Georgia, East Tennessee. Incredible people. Some of the best people in the world. Salt of the earth people. Mountain people are tough. They're built different. And they're hurting. They're struggling. These storms were unbelievable. So today we're going to take a moment to discuss a few things. We're going to talk with some different individuals in different regions of the state. And please hear me correctly. I'm not downplaying anything that's going on in the other states in Tennessee and Georgia and South Carolina, North Carolina. But my home is here in Florida. And so most of my connections and the people I know and people I'm related to, people I'm friends with, are here in Florida. So today I'm going to focus on the state of Florida. We're going to talk with three different guys. Captain Matt Omlor out of St. Augustine. He owns Old City Fly Shop and what he's doing to help with the relief and how you can be involved with the hurricane relief efforts. We're going to talk with Capt Jay Carson, who's in the Big Bend of Florida, right at the start of the Panhandle. He's located in Perry, Florida. And we're going to talk about what's going on there in Perry and Keaton Beach, Steinhatchee. We're going to talk with Matt Nyman. He's the business manager of Danco Sports. Matt is in Stuart, Florida. That's also the home of Skinny Water Culture, DOA Lures, a lot of the companies I work with, and New Wave Taxidermy, great people. So we're going to talk to him about what's going on there in that area. I've got some really good friends in that area who have lost it all. And we'll talk more about it later, but specifically thinking about Captain Eric Lyon, County Line Charters. That dude's impressive. He's impressive. Like I was friends with him before, but I gained so much respect for that dude. Dude lost everything. Eric lost everything. His house got hit with a tornado. His boats destroyed. His home destroyed. And within 24 hours, he already had a crew of people there with a tractor pulling his boat off his house and out of his pool, his trailer out of his pool, his other boat, flipped that back over. They've already removed the motors. He posted over the weekend on Instagram him out there with an angle grinder, cutting up his boat, repairing it, fixing the gel coat, fixing the fiberglass. Dude, that's awesome. Proud of you. That's not a, hey man, woe is me and I'm hurting. That's a guy that's like, I want to go fishing, dang it. I'm going to go fishing. And so I'm going to fix my boat because he's got a family to take care of. He's got clients he wants to take care of. He wants to go fishing. He ain't waiting on anybody. I love that. So today, we're going to talk with three different people, three different areas of Florida. I would love to have gotten with someone on the West Coast. Excuse me. Let me be more specific. the Central West Coast. Jack Bracken, who is the main film guy and editor, main camera guy and editor for the Captain's Log TV, he and I have been in contact a lot. Captain Will Osborne as well, doing a lot of work in that area. Captain Ryan Harrington's been crushing it, putting together crews of people to help demo these houses. See, these storms, I've lived here in the state of Florida my entire life, going on 40 years. Been through a lot of hurricane seasons. And I don't remember a single storm that had such widespread destruction. From Southwest Florida and Sanibel, I have friends today who don't have power, who had flooding in their home in Sanibel Island. And I have friends all the way in the Big Bend area who've lost everything. I'm thinking of Captain Evan Snow is one of them, and so many others who've lost everything. From Helene and then this second storm with Milton. Unbelievable. Unbelievable destruction. And then friends in the middle. Cortez and Anna Maria and Longboat Key. I have friends in Tampa Bay and St. Pete. Kyle Boat Works, my new boat partnership. They're in St. Pete. Their owner, Jacob, his house got flooded. A lot of the crew members got flooded. Guys from Florida Fishing Products. There's homes who've got flooded. And that's there in the St. Pete, Tampa Bay area. And then moving further, Crystal River. Think about Pete's Pier. Captain Adam Whitson, he's already been on the radio show. He's been on the TV show several times. He runs his charters out of Pete's Pier there in Crystal River. Great, great spot. Great place. Got live bait, got a tackle store that'll work on your boat for you. You can, if you bring your own boat, you can launch it there. If you book a guide, you can go out of there. They have guided trips, they have snorkel trips, they have, you name it, they got it. Scallop trips, manatee trips, you name it, they got it. They got affected really bad. A lot of flooding from Hurricane Helene. Steinhatchee, a little bit further north, Cedar Key area, Perry, Keaton Beach got leveled. So there's so many people, so much, we're talking hundreds of miles that got affected by this storm. And these storms, both of them. More so in certain areas, depending on where you're at. Helene in some areas, more Milton. And then the tornadoes. We're talking Oklahoma-style tornadoes, right? We don't get a lot of tornadoes. We do. I don't want to down. We get tornadoes, but not like, you don't hear about tornadoes being this gigantic. I saw an image, social media on some, I think it was Mike's weather page or one of those weather pages on Instagram, of the number of tornado touchdowns. It was, man, it must have been 100 of them. It was insane. And tornadoes did so much damage, especially in that Stuart area. I love Stuart. So many great friends there. So many great people there. Love that town. Every time I go to that town, I tell my wife, I want to move here. I love Stuart. Love that town. So Stuart, Port Salerno, or I might be saying that incorrectly. There's Fort Pierce. All that area had tornadoes and major destruction. So we'll talk more with Matt Nyman later about that. But I'm reminded, I have a sticker on the back of my truck. I'm going to say it incorrectly, I'm sure. So if you're a Latin buff, please don't send me an email and chew me out because I'm not a Latin buff. But I have a Latin sticker on the back of my truck. It says, Si vis pacem, pata bellum. In times of peace, prepare for war. And I learned this phrase from my cousin, actually. He owned a gym. It was a CrossFit gym. And that was something we talked about all the time. It was our mindset. We had two mindsets. Number one, iron sharpens iron. It's a verse from the Bible. Come in here and let's sharpen each other. As iron sharpens iron, let one man sharpen another. Let's work together. Let's work out hard. Let's just pump. Let's move some weight, right? To get stronger. In times of peace, prepare for war. I want to be as strong as I can. I want to be as fit as I can so I can take care of my family. The other side of that is if you're a gun owner, you're an outdoorsman and you like guns. In times of peace, you need to learn how to use your firearm, how to clean it, how to load it, how to fire it, how to store it safely. That's all part of gun ownership. But you don't want to learn how to do that in the middle of the storm. in the middle of the war. You want to know how to do all that for the war. Same with boat maintenance. My 5 P's: proper preparation prevents poor performance. You want to be prepared for stuff. You want to be prepared before the war gets here. In this case, the war was a hurricane. My wife is an incredible woman, a superb prepper. I don't want to say over top prepper, but she's a prepper in the sense that when this storm came, before it got here, she went to Costco. We shop at Costco. And she was getting supplies. But it wasn't, she was just getting everyday normal groceries because we needed groceries. Because we already had rice in Mylar bags. We already had 4 7-gallon jugs that we filled up before the storm got here. We had propane. We had a generator. We had fuel for the generator. We had propane for our Blackstone and our gas grills. These are things that we have to think about before the storms get here. In times of peace, prepare for war. This isn't a lecture. I'm not telling you that I did great and you guys did terrible. No. Not that at all. But this is the things that we need to start thinking about before these storms get here. Because when they get here, it's too late. When they get here, it is too late. So now, season's not over. But now is time to begin thinking about your chainsaws, your power source, your batteries. And then outside of that, first and foremost, we need to start thinking about how can we help other people? What can we do? So today I'm going to be talking with 3 different people. And I hope from those conversations, you guys can learn more about what's going on in those areas and how we can begin to help. I know right now we need to pump the brakes just a little bit. And what I mean is a lot of those areas are open only to residents. But as soon as they're open for us to go and help, some areas you can help. And I'm going to try to be as open and do the best communicating I can via social media on where you can go to help. But we need to be ready when that time comes to go and help and give financially, give physically, even pray, because they need it. There's so much going on throughout the Southeast, so much going on here in Florida. So let's come together and let's help.
This is the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.
Welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio. With me is Captain Matt Omlor. He and I are good buddies. We've done a couple episodes together. Matt is a full-time guide for Old City Guide Service, and he's also the owner of the Old City Fly Shop in St. Augustine, Florida. St. Augustine is a great area, and I love visiting there with my family. I love going fishing there, especially with Matt. We've had some killer days, but Matt is doing, and the shop is doing something incredible. Matt, have y'all had any kind of, did you guys get any weather from these hurricanes?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, Helene was worse for us than Milton. But overall, neither one of them really did a lot of catastrophic damage. I'd say for most of our community, it was another nor'easter. Nothing too crazy from either one.
If you're not familiar with the geography of the state of Florida, St. Augustine is in the northeast section of the state, so between Jacksonville and Daytona. And Matt, what are you guys doing at the shop? I know you have started as a collection site. Tell me about that. What are you collecting? How can people help out?
Yeah, John, I love that you brought that up. So, obviously we know that there's a lot of communities out there, especially on the West Coast, that were much less fortunate than we were up here. And so really the idea was to make this shop kind of a focal point for us in our community to gather water, baby food, canned food, essentials that we wouldn't, that there are many people that can't get their hands on. So, again, it was easy for us to use the shop as kind of a focal point for our community to help collect these goods so that we can get it into the hands of those that don't have them.
Love that. I've lived here my entire life. I cannot remember a storm that has had this much impact on the West Coast. You think about Helene. I have friends in Fort Myers and Sanibel, okay, which is pretty far south, Southwest Florida. And then I have some really good friends in the Big Bend and Keaton Beach area in Perry, Florida. That's hundreds of miles apart. And then friends all throughout the state on the West Coast. Moving south of Perry and Keaton Beach, you have Crystal River area. A lot of damage, a lot of destruction. Tampa Bay, St. Pete, a lot of damage, a lot of destruction. Anna Maria Island, Longboat Key, a lot of destruction. And then you get to Fort Myers. I don't remember a storm that's done this widespread destruction in my entire life.
Yeah, it really, just looking at the storm surge totals, and obviously for me and my family, one of our favorite places to go is Steinhatchee. Obviously, we sat at Roy's restaurant just 2 months ago and it's gone. There's nothing left. I feel for those that, lost so much. We take for granted, electricity, having Wi-Fi, being able to go to the store, and these folks aren't going to have that. And not for some time. In a lot of these communities, it was already tough to have just a grocery store. It was already tough as a small business owner just to survive in these areas, and they've lost everything.
Right.
So
right.
yeah, I get it. This Helene and Milton, this was a double whammy for this area.
Now, with people when they donate. Are you guys delivering once a week, every other week? Are you waiting to get a certain amount? How is that working for delivery with the stuff that people are donating?
Yep. So our first donation is going to be on Friday the 18th. So especially for the Steinhatchee area, you need to either have a house or family over there to go in. So my wife has a family friend who is going to be going into the area and delivering these goods. So they got a big U-Haul trailer. So my goal is to at least be able to fill up one of my dump trailers and be able to take that over to them. So we have a nice load to go. But we will likely continue these efforts until they say that they're not taking donations anymore.
Okay, great. So let's do a breakdown of the items. You said canned goods, baby food. What else are you doing?
Toilet paper, paper towels, especially cases of water. You cannot have enough water. If socks, believe it or not, socks is one of the most important things on there. Nothing like having a pair of dry socks. And, again, the other side, I would say diapers. Those, there's babies over there that are, have been displaced from their homes as well. And those families need diapers and formula and baby food, as well as flashlights. There's some places that still don't have power. It seems like most of the map's starting to come back, so we may not need as much flashlights. But, again, think of the other core items we talked about. Those are what we're looking for.
Awesome. Yeah, you said it. When you don't have something, you don't realize how much you need it. It's so easy for us to just get in the truck and to run to Walmart and get stuff. But these people don't have a Walmart anymore.
Yeah. I think of it this way. Throughout the entire time, for most people, Wednesday and Thursday were completely shut down. I think I went to Publix twice on Wednesday and Thursday. We're just cooking stuff at the house. Our Publix was wide open. And to know at the same time, there are other places that have been affected by these storms. They can't even get to those items. And some of them won't be for a very long time.
Yeah. Well, as we get further along. So this is, we've got what? Today's Monday. We have till, you said Friday the 18th?
Yeah, so that's going to be the first delivery. And like I said, we're probably doing a delivery every Friday, at least until they say, hey, we're not taking anything more.
Okay. Well, what we'll do is we'll put a link to, are you announcing that on your social media? How are people knowing?
So It's on the social media. It's being streamed on my page, the guide service page, and the fly shop page. And again, yeah, we will likely have something on our website for the fly shop as well, so that you guys can click the link for that too.
Go ahead. What is that website?
So that is oldcityflyshop.com.
Perfect.
And then of course, oldcityguideservice.com.
So if you are in the Northeast Florida area, from Daytona all the way up to Jacksonville, and you want to get involved, you can make your deliveries of your goods to the Old City Fly Shop there in St. Augustine. Canned goods, baby goods, diapers, baby food, wipes. I know our kids go through wipes like it's going out of style. All of that stuff,
no
bottles
doubt.
of water. How are they with fuel? Are you guys going to be doing any fuel deliveries?
Probably not fuel. That is one thing that again, a little bit tougher to take over there,
Yeah.
but if I find a way, absolutely.
Okay. And then these efforts aren't going to stop. The first delivery is going to be the 18th, but as long as there is people who need help, we're going to keep doing that. And regardless if that's going over to the West Coast, I know South Florida got hammered. South Central Florida and the Treasure Coast got hammered. One thing about the fishing community, we might be in all different parts of the state, but we come together. And now is the
100%.
time for us to come together.
Yeah, John, you couldn't have said it better there. And again, right now our focus is on the Big Bend area. But obviously, if we need to shift our focus further south, we will just keep on collecting and moving further south. I've got a big dump trailer. I don't mind running it myself. In just like you were saying, with Old City Fly Shop being a place for drop-off goods, if there are folks that's a little too far, I don't mind going and getting them if they reach out to me directly.
Yeah, reach out via the social media pages or on the
Yep.
website.
Yep.
You said it. I was in Keaton Beach, a couple months ago, tarpon fishing on fly.
Man, gotta love it over there.
While we were going out, I remember I've never been to this boat ramp. We launched this boat ramp, and it was beautiful. It just made a turn south. You had homes on either side of the canal, okay? And then it opened up into the Gulf. People were out there scalloping, and other people were fishing. We were set up looking for tarpon, and unbelievable area. Well, after Hurricane Helene, I saw a drone video, and I was like, I swear, I know that spot. That looks just like where we launched out of. And so I backed it up, the video. I watched it again. Sure enough, there's the boat ramp, and all of those homes along that canal, gone.
Yeah.
Gone, leveled, destroyed. Thinking, I was just there. I was just there a couple of months ago. I was fishing with Capt Jay Carson. We were tarpon fishing.
Oh God. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy to look at, especially, you look at some of the mobile home parks where they all got washed together. I mean, hundreds of homes that are just sitting on top of each other because the storm surge picked them all up and threw them into one zone. Krabby Dad's gone. Roy's gone. Sea Hag Marina just built a brand new marina. It's destroyed. I mean, just so many businesses and so many people displaced. It's just, and obviously this isn't discrediting what's going on in North Carolina. Obviously, born and raised in North Carolina, and they're having, places I grew up going to in Asheville and Brevard and Bat Cave. And, you just look at it and it's the same thing. Beautiful places that you remember so fondly, and you see the pictures now and you go, whoa, it's gone. It's gone. Yeah. It's going to take years and years and years to rebuild.
I heard a quote today. I was listening to another radio show earlier this morning, and the guy said, I don't remember who it was, but he said, these places are now destroyed and gone, but we're going to build them back, and they're going to be better than ever before. And yeah, it's going to be different. These are places we visited and we've grown up visiting and vacationing and going fishing, going skiing, snow skiing on the East Coast. North Carolina, that's some of the closest area you can go skiing when you're living in Florida. They're going to come back. And it's going to take time, it's going to take people investing their money and their energy and their efforts to make it happen. But it's going to happen one day, one step at a time. Captain Matt Omlor, thank you so much. Again, where can we find you? Where can we get to you?
Yep. So make sure you check out all our social media page, Old City Fly Shop, Old City Guide Service, and Captain Matt Omler on Instagram, or just come down to the shop. That's 2730 US Highway 1 South, St. Augustine, Florida, 32086.
Thanks for everything you're doing, brother.
This is the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.
So welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio. I'm here with Matt Nyman, who is the business manager at Danco Sports. If you know, Danco is super supportive of me, and Danco is located down in Stuart. You've heard me talk about Danco on the show and just all the incredible products that they make and they sell, and we've seen them on the TV show as well. But Matt lives down in the Stuart area, and they have been getting hit with tornadoes, all as a result of Hurricane Milton. There wasn't a lot of they might have had tropical storm conditions. They didn't have the worst of the hurricane, but what came from it were these tornadoes, and devastating tornadoes in this area. Matt, what are you seeing? Where are you at? What city are you in, and what are you seeing on the ground?
Hey, Jonathan. First, thanks for having me on, and for all your listeners and viewers. Obviously, Jonathan's one of our amazing captains and ambassadors, and one of the best guys out there. So I appreciate you having me on. And yeah, it was pretty crazy. So I actually live in Fort Pierce, the northern part, right in the Lakewood Park area. My neighborhood's actually Portofino Shores. And we, as you mentioned, the hurricane was minimal, but we got hit directly by a couple of tornadoes that were really devastating. Feel super blessed and fortunate. My family's all doing great and fine, and our house actually made it out pretty unscathed. Couple roof tiles came off, but and of course, going through it, we were bunkered down and didn't really have any idea of the amount of damage that occurred, and within our neighborhood directly, but also the surrounding area. So it wasn't really for 24 hours later, we rode out the hurricane, and the next day, started picking up the pieces just right around our house. And our direct neighbor had a tree limb fall in the car, and we were all getting together and cleaning up. And it wasn't for several hours later that we started hearing, oh yeah, the other side of our neighborhood, literally 2 streets over, a couple, few hundred yards, just it got a direct hit. I mean, the tornado went, just right down the street. So after we were able to do some cleanup, gathered ourselves together, and fortunately I have a chainsaw, and talked to the Fish and Wildlife who came through the neighborhood and asked what we could do to help. And we, as a family, walked around the neighborhood and just saw, it was catastrophic. Cars picked up and moved, windows blown out, garage doors ripped off. Roofs ripped off. You can kind of see behind me. I don't know if you can see that. That's across the pond. But some of those houses, which are actually still not, had roofs ripped off, and just past the street is where a ton of the damage in our neighborhood happened. Trees all over the place. So like I said, I think from what I heard, our neighborhood was fortunate. We did not lose any lives, but we are right next to Spanish Lakes, where there were a number of lives lost. And so again, it was I guess, very, very eye-opening. Again, you go through these things from this standpoint, and it's funny because my wife and I were talking, and, you can just be a couple miles removed and not have much happen and just not understand the devastation that's happening to families and homes that are, again, for us, even a couple hundred yards away. But
Right.
In different regions, again, even as you mentioned, even just down in Stuart, a few miles away, if you weren't next to these these tornadoes, the damage was minimal, fortunately. And then even, that's what we were saying with Helene, that came through before. We're sitting here not being affected by it and just not really fathoming the devastation that these families and communities are going through right now, all the way up
Did
to
you guys was anyone prepared for Hurricane Milton now in terms of like, did people board up ahead of time?
So it's funny you ask. Yes, we were all boarded up in our house. We put all the hurricane shutters up, which was the first time I ever had to go through that personally, boarding up the house. And so we did. We prepared, fortunately. But what I'm finding and what we're seeing is that really at these houses, there was no preparation for the tornadoes. I mean,
Yeah,
there were
yeah.
some of these
And I don't
houses.
think there's anything you can do for a tornado of that size. I mean, these were like Midwest tornadoes, like Oklahoma style tornadoes, but the way they spun up so fast, so large, and just completely destructive. I was on the phone yesterday with Captain Buddy Kirkhart, a Night Heron light tackle fishing charters down there in Stuart. And he said his dad was outside doing yard work and saw the tornado, and they had no idea it was coming, no clue. Like they were just kind of picking things up knowing that the storm was coming, but no clue that this thing was coming at him. He ran inside, got his wife who was on the back porch doing stuff. They went huddled in the bathroom, and they watched the thing go across their yard. And just down the street from them is Captain Eric Lyon, who is another good friend of mine, County Line Charters, and his home was completely destroyed. His boats, he has two boats. One boat was on his house, half of it was on his house, the other half was in the pool. The trailer was in the pool. His other boat was completely flipped over, and just the home's destroyed. And what I appreciate is even those who aren't affected, minimally affected, are stepping up and coming in full force. Hey, how can we help? We were talking earlier. You said you had your chainsaw running. You're helping your neighbors. Man, I loved hearing stuff like that. That's huge. That's huge. The only way we're gonna get together and fix this is for all of us to come together and to work together and work hard together on this massive problem. And not to wait for the insurance adjusters to get here and contractors to show up, but stepping up together. What are the basic needs you guys are seeing, right? Do you even have power yet?
So we do not have power, and again, goes back to what you're saying. Fortunately, we prepared pretty well with water and all that ahead of time, just seeing it, and of course, being having gone through certain storms and natural disasters before, something that myself and my family we take pretty seriously. Just being prepared for that. But we do not have power in our area right now. They're saying probably not until the end of this coming week, like the 17th, 18th. So we'll see what happens there. We're very fortunate where we are on city water, so we have running water. So really, we're doing some glamorized camping with no power, but we've got running water, which is great, and camp stove and the grill. I got propane for the grill, so we're doing okay here. But again, and so I'm, getting ready to go back out, across the neighborhood and see, like you mentioned, see what we can do to help from supply standpoint. I think a lot of the families here are fortunate where they do have places that they can go. But that's what we're seeing. As a potential issue are just places where families whose homes are either destroyed or windows are all blown out, are places for them to be able to go and shelter and get some relief. But yeah, so that's a great question, and that's what we're working on right now, is trying to identify those resources, what we can do personally, and that support that we can give, whether it's trying to bring them to a place to get online just to get service. That's, you and I were communicating the other day, and I was saying, our service was so in and out the last 2 days, not being able to even communicate with anyone outside. So it's eye-opening for myself just to see how close to home this is. And like you mentioned, you can be prepared, but there's some things that you just, you can't be prepared for. And, if you're not looking for opportunities and areas to help those that are affected.
Yeah, well, please keep me posted. I will, on this, on our social media platforms, on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube at the Captain's Log TV. I will be posting on our pages, on posts and on stories, as I get more information, ways people can help. And as you learn of more ways people can help, certain supplies, whether that be gift cards to Walmart or Publix, or even showing up with chainsaws or showing up with battery supplies or gas or clothing, I will find out once you know what those things are, and I will post them on all of our social medias. That way we can get that information out to the public, because I know there's people who want to help. I also know that we don't want to just show up right away and then clog everything as people are trying to come in and then taking up gas, taking up food, taking up resources that we're there to help, but don't want to take up the resources for the people who need it first and foremost. So as those things develop, please keep me posted so we can notify the public.
No, well, and that's a great point. Actually, they've had a lot of the neighborhoods closed off, where non-residents aren't even able to get, to go in there, because whether it's just, sightseers per se trying to look at the damage, but keeping those roads and areas clear for first responders and the power companies and all that. So that's a great point. But also, just take this time to mention as well, that was what was really, enlightening for me and brought to the forefront, is looking outside of just our area, because we do get that tunnel vision. And again, what North Carolina and those communities are going through still, right? And that was really something, again, that we've been discussing as a family, saying how, when you're isolated from the damage, you don't, it's easy to look the other way or not worry about it as much. But when it's right in your neighborhood, it's one, obviously you jump in to help, but then you start thinking about those people that are in other areas that are affected. So
yeah, I my wife, one of her best friends, lives up in the Pacific Northwest, and she's clueless to this stuff. She's never experienced a hurricane, and so she has no idea the kind of preparations that we took to make sure that we're safe. She doesn't know what's going on. She's not had this experience. So unless you're from Florida and you've experienced it before, a lot of people are just clueless. Well, Matt, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you've been working like crazy, helping out your neighborhood and taking care of your family. Thank you for all you do with Danco and supporting me. And we'll stay in touch. And as soon as we have more info, we will put that out. Again, I'm Captain Jonathan Moss. This is the Captain's Log Radio. We will be right back.
Thanks, Jonathan.
This is the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.
It's been an interesting show, a little bit different than normal, but really want to discuss ways we can help, public can help our hurting fishing community and those in the state of Florida who've been affected by Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. And with me now is Captain Jay Carson. He's up in the Big Bend area of Florida, which got hit very hard, hammered by Hurricane Helene. He is specifically in Perry, Florida, but he fishes in Perry, down in Steinhatchee, in Keaton Beach. He fishes all of the Big Bend. We've done several episodes with him. Jay, what's going on, dude, man? How's it looking there in your area?
Oh man, it's we're doing all right up here. It's been a rough couple weeks for us. I mean, just as you know, the whole west coast of Florida has just been had to deal with some obviously hurricanes and specifically where I'm at in Taylor County. Our coastal shoreline is fairly unpopulated overall, but there are some coastal communities down there that were just absolutely leveled, specifically from Hurricane Helene. And everybody's just trying to put the pieces back together, get back on their feet, and try to get back to a normal life, which is going to be a little bit of while. I live about 20 miles inland, so I was spared for the most part. Missing a few shingles on my roof and some other minor damage around the house. But down there on the coast, I literally just came from down there, and what are we, 2 weeks out from Helene now? And it's still, I mean, it looks like the storm just hit yesterday down there. It's just devastated. Just trying to get, like I said, people down there putting the pieces back together and trying to figure out what their lives are going to look like, moving forward. So that's kind of where we're at right now, just trying to figure all that stuff out.
I was just up there with you when we were in Keaton Beach.
Yep.
We launched the boat. We went down this beautiful canal. It's houses lined with houses on both sides.
Yep.
And then I saw this drone video of that same canal.
Yeah.
And those houses were gone.
Gone. Yeah. I would say of there's three kind of coastal communities right there where Helene made landfall right here in Taylor County. There's a little small private community called Danco Beach. About 5 miles south of that is Keaton Beach. And then another couple, about a mile or two south of that are two more little communities called Cedar Island and Dark Island. And of those four little communities, about 90% of the houses were either completely leveled or no longer livable. So it's just, it's very tough. Not only did we have just record storm surge there, but the wind damage, because you have the storm surge and then you have the waves on top of that. And it just, those old Florida houses down there, just a lot of them just couldn't hold up to that. So, and that's what the hardest part about the whole thing down there is, this Big Bend section of Florida has that old Florida feel to it. It's like, these houses have been handed down from generation to generation. And a lot of the people are just not going to have the financial capability to be able to rebuild, or if they can rebuild, it's just going to look a lot different moving forward. We don't know what that's going to look like. But it is going to look a lot different moving forward, which is heartbreaking because, anytime you go through a serious change like that, you don't want your community to have to, go through any changes. It's perfect the way it is. And now we don't know what it's, like I said, we don't know what it's going to look like moving forward.
Right. No, I think the first time I fished with you, I told you if I ever bring my wife here, I'm in trouble because she would love your area, old Florida.
Yeah,
that's as soon as you get there, it's like, this is different. I mean, I live in Orlando. I live in a big city.
Right.
You are in a town that things slow down a little bit, and that's probably one of my favorite things about that area.
Yeah.
And then the fishing is just phenomenal.
It is great. Great fishing. Phenomenal fishing.
And then on top of that, some incredible people.
Yes.
And so to see these people struggling and hurting, it hurts. Great people. I think about Evan.
Yeah.
What is Captain Evan Snow, what is he doing in the meantime? Is he able to get on the water? Is he able to do any trips? Are the ramps even open? Or there's still a ton of debris in the water? What's going on there with that?
So I was just kind of down there looking around to see what kind of water access we had this morning. And so specifically for Evanston, my best friend, Captain Evanston, he lives in Keaton Beach. Just a little backstory. Their house was completely decimated by Hurricane Helene, wiped out down to the foundation. They lost everything. So right now they're in the process of the cleanup process. In fact, I was just down there on his lot, and they were able to get a big excavator down there, skid steer, and able to kind of clear all the debris off their lot and push it up by the road. So at least he's kind of gotten to where his lot on the Keaton Beach Canal is clean. But as far as water access goes, man, that's the biggest thing. Well, between water access and just the the logistical pieces of where we put clients and people wanting to come down. I mean, just there's nobody. First of all, there's no place for anybody to stay down there currently. So even if you did have clients come from out of town, there's nowhere to put them. We've got a few local clients that will probably fish, but like I said, the biggest issue is just trying to get out on the water. Yet Thursday, I was down there kind of helping clean out, and the crab fishermen are still trying to operate because, they got to keep their operation going. And I watched 2 crab boats try to, maneuver their way down the Keaton Beach Canal, and they kept picking up, blankets and shirts and the props, and they kept, it took them about an hour to get out, just from all the times they had to stop and clear the prop and maneuver around, pretty much whole houses. In some places there's literally whole houses sitting in the middle of the canal there where we have our water access. And we don't have a lot of deep water access up here. Most of our ramps are very tide dependent. And the one place that we can launch regardless of the tide is Keaton Beach. The other launch is the Steinhatchee River, and that also right now is inaccessible as well. So they haven't got that cleaned up and opened yet. And from what I understand about Steinhatchee, I haven't been down there yet, but they had a devastating storm surge. So a lot of the stuff down there that's right on the river was severely damaged. Tons of debris down there as well. So, it's not just our little coastal, but also Steinhatchee was hit pretty hard as well. And as you know, even down through Central Florida, specifically with Helene, that storm surge that came in the whole west of coast of Florida was just devastating to a lot of people.
I've lived here my entire life, and I was talking about this with Captain Matt Omlor earlier in the show.
Sure.
I don't remember a storm having this much effect on the entire, we're talking, I've got a friend this morning who posted on Instagram, Day 5 Charters, Captain John. He's on Sanibel Island in Southwest Florida, and he said he still doesn't have power, and they had storm surge there. And then you think, and this is from Helene. Yeah. And then after Helene, it was Milton. They got more storm surge from that.
Right.
I don't remember, and I've lived here 40 years. I don't remember ever having one storm have this much widespread effect on the state of Florida.
Yeah, it's amazing. I guess that's just the size that Hurricane Helene was, and just the sheer amount of water that it was pushing when it came ashore. Because obviously the most devastating surge was right here where it made landfall, but it had effects all the way down to Tampa, St. Pete, south of that Bradenton, Sarasota had storm surge. So you're talking, several hundred miles from the epicenter of that particular storm, and then to have Milton come in right there behind it.
Right.
All that debris and stuff.
Did you guys have any effect for Milton?
No. It was we had a little wind, a little rain, but we were very fortunate that storm spared us. I'm sure a lot of people know, but Taylor County specifically has had 3 hurricane landfalls in the last 13 months, from Idalia last September, and then Debbie back in August of this year, and then Hurricane Helene. So we were due for a break. on one of them. It's definitely been it's been a tiring last year, I would say. Is kind of everybody's kind of emotionally drained and tired from all the stuff that we've had to deal with up here.
Absolutely. What are needs you guys are seeing? So Captain Matt Omlor from Old City Fly Shop is collecting items. He's collecting baby goods, baby food, hand goods, socks. What are some other things that we can add to the list of needs, immediate needs?
I think those are all good things. I think, for the most part, a lot of those specific types of needs are met. I just know that so some of the needs, I was just down there, one of my good clients who's been fishing with me for years, he has a house at Danco Beach, and I was down there looking at his stuff, but we need like electricians and plumbers and things to just, sure, they can turn the water on, down there, they can turn the electricity on, but if your house is not able to, accept those things, it doesn't do you any good. So those are kind of the main issues that we need. So, if there's anybody who out there that feels led, in their heart to maybe come up and spend a day, reconnecting, electrical boxes to houses or reconnecting a drain pipe from a house, a sewer pipe that connects to their sewer system. Any of that's kind of the main issues I think that everybody's dealing with right now. I was walking around talking to some neighbors and some people that I know down there, and it's like that's pretty much the same story of everybody that I talk to. It's like, well, how am I going to get my electricity back up to the house, and how are we going to have somebody, because the demand is so high everywhere.
As this show continues, I'll make sure to put your contact information on there so that people can reach out to you and can connect. And as we find out more needs and more ways to help, we'll get that posted all of our social media and on this show.
Thanks for listening to the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.